everyone for staying with us. Let's begin some kind of review of what happened yesterday. The emergence of Senator Godswill Akpabio as the Senate President and Mr. Tajuddin Abbas as the Speaker of the House of Reps. It's come with a lot of reactions, and people are trying to wrap their heads around what really happened and how it happened. Those on the camp of those who lost out in the race already figuring out how they lost in the race, and the APC are talking about the victory and what this means for the nation. There are obvious strong hands behind what we saw play out yesterday at the National Assembly. One of the persons who played a role, which he was saddled with, is the governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodimma, who was the chair of the technical committee set up by President Bola Tinubu. He joins us live here in Abuja. So thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Have you had some sleep?
Yeah.
I learned a lot of you were not sleeping. You kept vigil.
That is politics for you.
How did you do it?
How did I do what?
You were the chair of the technical committee set up to execute the APC's plan for the National Assembly leadership politics.
Well, first, you know, I'm the chairman Progressive Governors Forum. This Progressive Governors Forum is made up of governors of APC in the country. And of course, our loyalty to the party is very strong, and with commitment to ensure that the success of our great party remains sacrosanct. In that regard, we had a meeting and agreed, arising from the various information that came to us, that some members of the parliament, out of their own personal interests or reasons, were aggrieved, and they were not comfortable with the choice of the political party, APC, in the person of Godswill Akpabio for Senate President, and Senator Barau as the deputy, and Tajuddin Abbas, the Speaker, Ben Kalu as the deputy. So we came in actually to be able to reconcile in various interests, to make sure that the interest of the party will remain supreme. So in that regard, we consulted, visited different individuals, senators-elect and House of Representative members-elect, spoke to many. Throughout the night, some nocturnal activities to ensure that various individuals and critical stakeholders were carried along.
We even heard that the president himself had to visit some individuals. That's how important it is, isn't it?
Because the president is a member of the party, APC. Well, once the party is interested, we are all loyal to the party, including Mr. President. He's also loyal to the party. Once the party has taken a position, it is bound on all members of the party to follow. And that was exactly what we did. Engagement, talking to individuals, members and leaders of our great party, and even beyond the political party. We spoke to critical stakeholders to be able to have a reconciliatory move that will usher political stability in the parliament. In that regards, to support the government of our president, who, of course, you know, has started very, very well.
You're working closely with President Tinubu, especially executing what some of us have described as perhaps what would have emerged as his biggest political hurdle since assuming office as the president of Nigeria. Now, what do you see of him? What do you make of him? A lot of people have talked about his political sagacity. What kind of man is he when it comes to achieving or wanting to achieve what he set out politically?
You know, generally they always say experience is the best teacher. I think the president has paid his dues. Coming from the private sector, he rose to the management level of one of the biggest multinational companies in the country, Exhumed. From there, he was part of those who struggled for democracy to come to Nigeria. And again, he became the governor of Lagos State, today that has the strongest economy in the country. So he's a man of ideas. He has done very well. And don't forget, coming from the private sector to play politics gives you an advantage. So he understands what the market is all about. He understands the experiences and problems of the private sector and that of the public sector. So combining all the combinables is in the right position to really provide a solution. For instance, some decisions that may seem too hard for any leadership to take, he must have a way of going about it. He knows those to speak to, those to consult. And he has colleagues, has classmates, has political colleagues, he has business partners. He has seen it all. And of course, now there will be no choice but to ensure.
They say that he's the kind of person that whatever he wants to get, he knows just how to get it.
That is experience for you. That is pragmatism for you. And that is why I am pleading with all and sundry to allow him the space to show what he's made up of.
We'll get to that in a moment. But if you look at what happened, and you're an experienced lawmaker, you've been in the National Assembly, now being a governor, and the kind of stiff opposition that came up, the likes of Senator Yari and those who followed him. Senator Yari had well over 40 votes. He had 46 votes. That was impressive for someone who has not been in the National Assembly before. It's his first time of being in the Senate. And as a first-timer, he was going to almost deal your party a huge blow. Your party's candidate, Godswill Akpabio. It shows that there is some division also in your party. What lesson has your party learned, if any, from that?
History has a way of repeating itself. In 2007, a contest for who becomes the Senate President of the country between the then Senator David Mark and the then Senator George Akume, was also very stiff. The gap between the votes of Senator Akume and David Mark is even less and closer than the gap of Yari and Godswill Akpabio. But in the same manner, it doesn't make the difference. It is the politics of the parliament. We will first disagree, and now finally we will agree. So those out of personal interest, partisan interest, will initially disagree. But when you lobby, when you convince them, when you speak logic to it, they will eventually agree. The most important thing is that it's democracy at play.
But Senator Uzodimma, if you look at some of the issues the likes of Senator Yari had put forward to say, in the scheme of things, there is no balance in terms of the politicking and the balance of power at that level. Did you see reason in some of their arguments?
Well, that argument really was not, I was not confronted with it. But what is important is that to be a Senate President, you must be a pan-Nigerian. We're looking for a Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not Senate President of a particular zone.
Is that what Godswill Akpabio is?
Nigeria is a federation.
Is that what Godswill Akpabio
is? Yes,
it
is. Godswill Akpabio is Senate President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He is not the Senate President for South-South or for Southern Nigeria or any particular group. If you look at the spread of the votes, he even had a lot of votes from the northern part of the country, the same way from the south. So balancing and combining all the combinables, all the critical factors at play, you will agree with me that he was unanimously, in a very wide and substantial spread, elected with over 63 votes. You know, so Godswill Akpabio is a Senate President. I'm very confident that he will display maturity, will display and be interested in the unity of the country, will ensure, because Nigeria is a federation. It's Federal Republic of Nigeria. And Godswill Akpabio as senator, have you forgotten, as a governor in Akwa Ibom State for 8 years, he took the state from where he made the state to a higher level. As a senator, he did well. First time in the Senate, he was elected the minority leader of his party in the Senate. And he has done a lot. He has done well. And I think that he should be given a chance.
How will your party unite there are forces that are divided. I mean, to see that there are those who stood against your party's decision, who dared your party's decision, went into the arena and said, let's go into it and we'll slug it out. Even the likes of Honorable Idris Wase, who had 3 votes, Honorable Jaji, who had 3 votes, they dared and said they will go with their integrity intact and they will still contest that election. Are you hoping, or what are you going to do to unite them? They're definitely aggrieved.
No, the beauty of democracy is that it allows people to express their interests and they also exercise their fundamental rights. Of course, as a senator-elect or House of Representative member-elect, you are entitled to contest for any position. But democracy also allows you to not to be too much to aggrieve, allows you not to be with anger if you don't win. And if you win, you to take up the position. If you don't win, you follow the dictates of the rules of the House. So I'm not against anybody who expressed interest to want to lead the House or the Senate, but who did not win. And in terms of reconciliation in our great party, the party is a large party. APC today is the largest party in Africa.
By what measure?
By population, by performance, by everything, by consistency. This party since 2015 has been in power and has been able to, despite all the challenges and odds, despite the primitive type of opposition they met, they've been able to excel, and yet Nigeria is still united. And
I'll take you to the politics of the APC because first let me start with Imo State. You are going to be, you are in the race. The INEC has released the names of those who will be in the race. You want to be re-elected. You came into some circumstances that a lot of your opposition are not quite happy with. The question is, why should the people of Imo State look in your direction again? Why are you seeking re-election? What have you done to convince them that you are deserving of that role again?
I'm sure political observers like you will agree with me that given the situation in Imo State before 2020 when I became the governor, and the situation in Imo State today, 2023, 3 years after, that a lot of things are there for people to now know that there is a huge difference. When I came to Imo State, I met a moribund state, a state that was in distress, a state I can even say that was in the cemetery. I exhumed the body. Can you imagine a state that I came as a governor and everybody absconded? No handover note. There was no compass for me to navigate the aircraft. I started harvesting information from official and unofficial quarters. Was able to establish a nominal role. Was able to re-establish the civil service, create the payroll, begin to rehabilitate all the dilapidated infrastructure. The infrastructural deficit was so huge. All the roads were not motorable. All the hospitals were not working. I started from Olu to Owerri. It would take you almost 4 hours. Today, you can go from Olu to Owerri in less than 30 minutes. From Okigwe to Owerri, you will spend even 5 hours at a point called the Kemele. Today, in 35 minutes, Okigwe, you are in Owerri. Now, I'm also doing the access from Mbise, Owerri to Umuahia. Was a journey of almost 6 hours. Even with the work we have done so far, nearing almost 70% complete, you will do Umuahia to Owerri in less than 40 minutes. And some other roads in the hinterland, rural roads, urban roads. I mean, over 100 roads has been restored, and the people are jubilant. The school system is running, the Medicare is running. There are so many things to show, both the tangibles and the intangibles. So it is not about what to show. It is that people have already seen what I have done. And the request there for me to continue.
Is that your best?
Of course.
Is that your best that you can give to the people of Imo?
More coming. It's still work in progress. It's still work in progress.
So you are begging for another 4 years to do what exactly?
Well, if I am there in the next 4 years, given what I have achieved in the last 3.5 years, if I continue the situation, the insecurity that besieged the state during my time, of politically contrived insecurity, was so enormous, capable of overwhelming the state. We were able to resist it. And with the support of Almighty God and the president of the country then, President Muhammad Buhari, we got the support of the security agencies and rescued the state from total collapse. And today, if you go to Imo State, even on the street, the opinion poll, the last I got is that we want hope. We want hope. That is
what the masses, but it might not be Hope Uzodimma.
There is only one hope. Hope Uzodimma is the man who brought hope to Imo State from 2020 till now.
Well, I mean, you've seen the kind of opposition coming in this election. The Labour Party, the PDP, a former senator, that's a former party member in the PDP. You've seen what the Labour Party did. In fact, the Labour Party now has a deputy governorship candidate that was a former governorship candidate. A former member of the House of Reps. You've seen the YPP candidate. It's an opposition that is almost like a tsunami, hoping to sweep the APC away. Are you aware? Are you worried about that?
Why it is an election is because there must be opposition, and it must be a context. So why am I worried that I'm going into an election which is a context? Do you want me to go into a context without the opposition party? Then who will I be contesting the election with?
I'm just because you have hopes that you might get re-elected. And I'm trying to tell you that, are you aware of the kind of competition that you are up against?
Well, I'm very confident that I have done well to be given another opportunity to do my second term. And by the grace of God, I think I will be successful. I am not God. It is only God that knows what will happen the next minute. But I'll submit myself to Imo people for re-election.
Let me quickly take you to the Imo Charter of Equity that was presented by the leaders of the state. I mean, your critics have said that the Imo Charter of Equity has been skewed in your favor.
I don't know what they mean by that, but when I came in, recall the event that happened where the police headquarters was attacked, and the correctional center facility in Owerri was also attacked. I received in audience all the Christian bishops from various churches in Imo State who offered to intervene to find out actually the remote cost of all this violence in the state. Allowed them at the end of the sitting. They consulted with all the politicians, strong politicians and critical stakeholders. And they came back to me with a report. Among the report, one of the reasons given for the instability and violence in Imo State was that some politicians were aggrieved that my senatorial district or low zone have continued to keep power using our population, because the Imo State is made up of 27 local governments. The senatorial district where I come from, where I represented for 8 years, is made up of 12 local governments. Okigwe is other senatorial districts, 6 local governments. Owerri, 9 local governments. So it goes without saying, since politics is a game of number, that always our own senatorial district will always win any contest, given their number. So one of the grievances expressed to the committee of the clergy is that Olu has monopolized power. That is, from 1999, Uzodimma was the governor. After Uzodimma, Okorocha became the governor. 16 years, and now Hope Uzodimma is the governor. It means that if they don't cause trouble, the power will not get them. So in their wisdom, working with the Elders Council of Imo State, I think that it will be better to do an all-inclusive arrangement where the position of governor will go around the 3 senatorial districts. So they entered into an understanding that it requires power after my tenure. Of course, you know, I'm the incumbent governor. And I don't know if what they call advantage is that I will serve a second term before moving power to the next senatorial district. If we have an open contest, the question is, will they defeat me and defeat my zone with 12 local governments? So even I think they should applaud it. That at the end of the day, I have agreed that 4 years after my second term.
The feeling is that you have skewed it, that you have a hand in how this all played out.
If there's anything called skew, I would have discouraged the idea of having a charter of equity and strengthen my zone to rule forever. But look at it that way.
But it's in your favor now.
It's in my favor because I'm incumbent. I'm already incumbent. I'm a sitting governor. The question is, if there is no charter of equity and I finished my tenure and I'm not able to support the other zone and plead with my people to allow the other zone to produce a governor, a confrontation, are they going to get it?
Senator Uzodimma, let me ask you, since you became governor over 3 years now, how much of economy benefit have you been able to attract to the state? You said that the state was almost like a dead body that you exhumed. But from that dead body, from the resources that are available, what have you been able to make of it?
When I came in 2020, I have an entirely generated revenue profile of less than 300 million. That's how bad it was. As I speak to you, we're making 2.1, 2.2 billion on a monthly basis, entirely generated revenue, to augment our federal allocation. You recall that for the past...
As an oil-producing state, of course.
For the last 3 years, oil-producing, NNPC has not been contributing to FAC. All the processes of oil revenue have been used to subsidize fuel imports.
So you are happy with the removal of subsidy because after this, NNPC has said that the federal government has not been paying its obligation in terms of the subsidy payment. But with this, there should be fund for the NNPC to be able to do its duties, and state, the federation should have more money.
Yes,
what do you make of it?
That is the best thing that has happened to the country. Because what are we talking about? We almost got to a stage that it was a mono economy, this oil. And being the only thing people we depended on to run the country, the money disappeared, used to subsidize import. No, and at the end of the day, we are a member of the Committee of Nations. Is there anywhere in the world, among the oil-producing countries, that importation is the order of the day? If we must look like other members of OPEC, is there any serious OPEC member at the same category with Nigeria that is importing products? The answer is no. 2, ExxonMobil, Shell Petroleum, Gulf, Egypt, all the oil companies that are producing crude oil in Nigeria are the same companies that are producing oil in America, in Britain, in Venezuela. Is there anywhere in these countries that products are being imported? Is there anywhere in these countries that these oil companies don't have fuel stations where motorists go and get fuel? Why is our own different? Can you remember of any country that you have language like independent marketer, turnaround maintenance, fuel import, subsidy regime?
So there's a big anomaly.
That is why my respect for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu doubled.
But the question is, how will he be able to manage it? The outcome, the backlash of the removal, those who criticize that it was somewhat a knee-jerk approach. Was it really ready? How are Nigerians going to 159% increase in the price of the commodity will also affect inflation rate, will affect the price of commodity in the market. Are we ready for it? Do we have alternatives? These are the questions.
If we want to respect God and respect nature, we must allow the forces of demand and supply and market forces to determine the cost of living.
Oh, the land, the preparation to absorb the shock was not properly put in place. These are some of those.
Listen, it is not the procedure. Because the so-called subsidy that you claim that is going to the people, I don't know the people who are beneficiaries of this subsidy. On the other hand, what subsidy are you talking about when we don't have roads? We don't have hospitals. We don't have schools. We have the highest migration of medical purpose out of this country. So we leave our priorities because we have no national development plan. A visionary leader must develop a national development plan so that the priorities of the country will be established. Our policies must be done inclusively. It must be collectively defined, collectively designed, and collectively implemented.
Governor,
so critical stakeholders must queue into every good policy.
In your own state, what have you done for your people to buffer the shocks of this subsidy removal?
As a matter of fact, before even the removal of subsidy, I had an audience, the leadership of Nigerian road transport workers. And in that meeting, they praised and applauded the road revolution I have done. That the travel time has grossly reduced from one point of the state to another point. And as a result, that they have reduced the cost of transportation. That is palliative working. Palliative cannot be sitting down and distributing rice and beans.
So you don't agree with the 5,000?
You're making our people look like beggars.
You don't agree with the 5,000 naira?
I don't think, without prejudice to what will be the position of federal government, but I don't think that the palliative is dashing 5,000 to our citizens. What is the palliative? Is making available critical infrastructure that will make life more meaningful to our people. We want motorable roads. We want good hospitals. We want good education. If we can afford it, we want to review our wage bill.
What would be your suggestion to the minimum wage? What figure would you suggest that it should go, the federal minimum wage?
Well, I don't want to preempt the federal government. I think there is an assignment. Some people are already working on it. Whatever that is, because one thing is to make a promise.
What figure do you think? You are a state governor and you know what your people feel.
I have dealt with labor severally since I came as a governor. And I would prefer not to make a promise that I will not keep.
Oh, I mean, I'm just asking for your own view about what figure do you think could work for Nigeria workers as a minimum pay?
There are peculiarities. The cost of living in one state may not be is different from the cost of living in another state. And we have federal civil servants and we have state civil servants. At the subnational level, your income earning capacity and what is affordable to determine how much you should use as a minimum wage.
What are you considering? Are you considering reviewing yours in your state?
Yeah, we have to look at it. Of course, I will be happy to do that. I will be happy to be known as the governor who is paying the highest wage bill in the country to encourage my workers. But it must be affordable.
All right.
It must be realistic.
Governor Uzodimma, on a final note, over 20 houses have been submerged and several families have been displaced following the landslide, which is estimated to be about 30 feet in Uzodimma community in Idiato South local government area of the state. What are you doing to, first and foremost, these families, this community affected, to help them, one? Two, are there plans to forestall this kind of situation to ensure that this kind of people are properly catered for so that their lives are not impacted with this kind of natural disaster?
And if you recall, in 2000, President Obasanjo visited Uzodimma. The gully erosion stretched up to Anambra State, a bombshell. This is one of the effects of the climate change issue. So the ecological problems we have in that area, because the ecosystem have been altered very seriously by various constructions here and there, mining and all the rest of the thing. So the project is beyond the power of the state government.
Have you spoken to President Tinubu about this?
As a matter of fact, we should allow the president to settle down. I wrote to the former president, and he sent it to Ecological Fund Office, and they are working on it. They designed over 2 times now. Federal delegation came from Ministry of Environment and the Office of the Secretary to the federal government, and they are working at various ways. But the capital outlay required to create a sustainable remedy is very huge, and there must be federal government intervention. It's work in progress. We're also working out a palliative measure to cushion the effects of the impact of that incident.
Those displays
on the residents.
Can we get assurance that those displays?
As I speak to you, Nema spoke with me a few hours ago, and they're still working on something to see what they can do to resettle those people that are displaced.
Our heart goes out to those who have been displaced and affected in that landslide. Thank you so much indeed, Senator Hope Uzodimma. It's good to see you again. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Shehu. Thank you.
You need some sleep.
I need
for those of you who have not had sleep for the last 2 days. Because we know that Senator Ali Ndume said here also was complaining about lack of sleep. That
yes, I really need to.
Some of you have.
You know, you insisted. But I said if I didn't come, you would not be happy. So I decided to come.
Thank you so much indeed for coming.
Thank you.